Hey YouTube, Steam Rocket. Just got back from locals today. I went 5-0, got first place with a new deck that I have never played before, but I saw some builds online I thought were pretty cool, so I kind of mixed a couple of them together and played it. Picked the stuff up kind of like last minute, so it's all the rarities are mismatched and everything. Anyway, played Volcanics. At locals, it's a pretty small locals. I did play against Nekroz twice. Played Nekroz twice. I played Yugioh once, and then 2 rogue decks. So that was my day. I'll go through the deck, and as I get the things that are worthwhile, I'll mention them. Most of this is going to be pretty standard. You have to play 3 rockets. You have to have this. If you don't have the blaze or the tri-blaze accelerator reload or whatever the trap card's called, you can't Yugioh. You need that to start your engines, so this is very important. 3 scattershot. Basically everything in the deck is geared towards using this over and over and over again. It's either, basically everything in this deck is either protection for your life points, scatter shots, or it's part of the engine to get to the scatter shots. 3 Volcanic Shell. I didn't play Upstarts in this build because this is basically Upstart. And it's free. It's like a free Upstart. So the 3 shells. Played 3 Royal Firestorm Guards. This is your best normal summon monster. That's just incredible to reset your scatter shots and draw 2. Then I played some one-ofs, Thunder King, Fossil Dyna, and Veiler. There's a lot of one-ofs in this deck. For 2 reasons. One, it's an anti-meta deck and you kind of need to be ready for anything, because the meta is pretty diverse right now, but it's also because there's so much draw power in here that you can get to these whenever, and you don't really ever need more than one. Once you get one of these off, you're usually in pretty good shape. 3 Pot of Dualities. For consistency, I actually think this deck also needs card Ds. Maybe throw 2 of those in here if I can find the space, just to help speed it up a little bit. Once your engine gets going, I mean, it's crazy how many cards you'll have in your hand. I mean, there were times where I had like 2 monsters on the field, 4 back row, and like 6 cards in my hand. I mean, you always just have so much advantage, but you have to get your engine started, so the 3 duality. This was 2 magic planners. I had to borrow one today. The guy who was supposed to be bringing a second one didn't show up, so I had to borrow one like last minute. Magic planners are great. It's so clutch when you get it off. It seemed to me, maybe it's just my luck, that I never had it when I wanted it. It did come up once when I like absolutely needed it. I was top decking. I had like a Fossil Dyna in hand and a Dead Fiendish Chain on the field or something like that. And my top deck was Magic Planner, and it got me some extra cards. That's pretty good. Again, with the one-ofs, you don't really need more than one of these, but you can get to them and they serve their purpose. 1 Mystical Space Typhoon, 1 Book of Moon, 1 Forbidden Lance, and I played 1 Temple of the Kings. I will explain this here in just a moment. So for those of you who don't know, this card has been errated. It now basically reads, once per turn you can activate a trap card of the turn it was set. So your primary targets with Temple of the Kings are your 3 Reckless Greeds and your 3 Blaze Accelerator reloads. The cool thing with this is if you go first, normally this card's actually pretty slow, but if you go first and you open with these 2, you activate this, set this, then activate it. If you have a shell in your hand, you can pitch the shell, draw a card, pay the shell's effect, add another shell, and then you magic planner this off and draw 2 more. And you have now first turn set up your scattershot plays. So you really put your opponent on notice that you know that your engine's completely set up before they even get a chance to go. And this isn't a combo that they can Veiler or Maxi or do anything to stop you. So it's a very powerful opening if you pull it off. If you don't open with this, not a big deal. Late game, you're drawing so many cards anyway that this likely won't be a problem. But yeah, there was one time too where I was in kind of a bad spot and I drew a Reckless. Did I draw it? I think I drew it with the Accelerator Reload, and I was kind of trying to make a push that turn, so I just set the Reckless, and immediately activated it. And it's basically, pot of greed when you're going for an OTK, or just pushing for damage. So those are all great. Moving on, I played 2 Fiendish Chains. I actually thought I was playing 3 of these all day, and I just now realized there was only 2. But I did cut the other one, I guess, for a breakthrough skill. I don't really regret this. This is really in there for like Winda, and like actually helped against the UAs. But I think I would prefer actually the 3rd Fiendish Chain because it does make the magic planners more alive. But there is something to be said for being able to use the extra negation for breakthrough skill. I played 2 Mirror Force. This is clutch. And then more one-ofs, Emptiness, Warning, Compulse, Bottomless, and Ring of Destruction. Ring of Destruction was so clutch. Just getting those burn damage in there, especially against Nekroz. I mean, they're summoning some big monsters, and you can just add the damage in. When you blow up a Unicorn for 23, your Rocket attacks for 19, you're burning them for 15 with scatter shots. I mean, the damage piles up really quick. I did really like Ring of Destruction. On to the side deck. I played 2 Lancias. I had never used this before because I usually play heroes, so you don't really have to worry about this. But against Nekroz, this put in some serious work. These were really good. I really enjoy these. It probably could have been 3 and been just fine. Sided the Regeki. This would have been in there for like decks like Cliff Orts and things that aren't really affected by the scatter shots. Just some extra removal there is nice. Also came in against UAs because they put their stuff on the field and it like can't be destroyed once per turn or whatever. You just clear out problems. The other 2 MSTs, these came in almost every time. People are citing macro and defissure and things, so you have to have the extra negation. Sided the 2 defusions. You're going to auto lose against things like Winda and Darklaw, so those are in there. Didn't see those decks, but don't regret that. Shadow Mirrors, Light Mirrors. These are great. You can also play like maybe instead of the Shadow Mirrors, if you wanted to do like Goza Match or Rivalry, you'll be able to shut down Shaddolls and BA just as easily with those if you don't want to use the Shadow Mirrors. Or if you're playing a build with Summoner Monk, you can just swap these for something else, so you can get your plays off there still. I guess with Summoner Monk that wouldn't really work with Goza Match Rivalry. Anyway, if you don't have any of these or you want to switch them up, any other continuous traps are good with magic planners. Even if you have Imperial Iron Walls would be good in this spot too. It's kind of player preference. I just happen to have these on hand, so I went with those. I played 2 Pulling the Rugs. I cut the 3rd one because I didn't really have space and I didn't expect to see Satellars. But I sided these in against one of the rogue players had like Vermelios and stuff, and then also these Senju Manju. These get those, and then 2 Ojama Trios. The idea is you lock out Cliff Orts, BA from really being able to get their plays off. Even Satellars, this is pretty good against because they can't make Katriver. Also gives you 900 more damage when you scatter shot because you'll blow up all their tokens. I sided these in a few times, didn't see them, so I can't really tell you how well those work. On to the extra deck. For those of you who play Volcanics and know this is mostly useless, however, I will say that Laval Chain, there were games that I would have lost if I didn't have a Laval Chain. There was a game I was grinding against Nekroz, and I could not get my draw set up. I had a accelerator reload, and I had nothing to pitch for it, and it was so frustrating. So I just made this, used the effect to send a shell to the graveyard, and then like all of a sudden my engine was like going. I can draw cards, and he actually, as soon as I sent the shell to the graveyard, he scooped because he knew like I was going to start just generating massive advantage, and there was no coming back from that. He like didn't have any mirrors in the grave, and so you do need Laval Chain. This is great. Daigoso Emerald, in theory this is great. I couldn't get it off. There was one game against the rogue player that I summoned Firestorm Guards and got Veilered. I summoned a Firestorm Guards the next turn and it got Veilered. So I had the 2 Firestorm Guards on the field, and I was trying to get my scatter shots back into the deck. So I summoned this, and it got Warning. Like I was trying so hard to reshuffle everything. So in theory that's good. but I couldn't resolve it. Cowboy for game. Burn is a real thing in this deck. There were actually 2 games where I used a single scatter shot to burn for my opponent for their last 500. And then I also got 1 Cowboy for game off, so worth it. I had a spot where I considered using this against a Nekroz player, but decided to push for damage instead and ended up not making this. But it's in there just in case you need it. And the rest of this is just filler. You won't use any of these. Even like this is my 15th card. I can't make this. Ignore this if you're watching this video and don't know how Volcanics work. I didn't have a 15th card and I had my heroes handy, so I just grabbed a Dark Law thinking that'd be funny. Let's see. I will say that if you are playing Volcanics, you should have this. You should have this. Maybe this. These 2 are to get rid of Defissure, Macro, Royal Decree. Those 2 get you out of those problems. So you definitely want those. I would say these. If you're going to play Volcanics, I'd say you need these 5, and then everything else is just whatever. It doesn't matter. So that's it. Let me know what you guys think. If you have any suggestions, if any of you guys have been playing Volcanics for a long time and think of anything that I could play in here to make it better. I don't want to play the Upstart Goblins, but I'm thinking card Ds. So let me know down in the comments if you guys have tried that out. Let me know if that works for you. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for stopping by.